premise, it's an alternate Victorian England where time is literally controlled by clock towers, and if anything happens to the towers, time breaks as a result. Timekeeper is the first in a young adult trilogy. It's historical, fantasy, a little bit of steampunk, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of romance. It's really like a bunch of things combined into one. So the idea originally came when a friend of mine sent me a link to a writing contest that was calling for really unconventional love stories. And I was like, that sounds like the kind of thing I would do. Like, yeah. When I first got that initial, like when I looked at my little Big Ben keychain and I was like, oh, clock towers. The first kind of like visual I got was like a silhouette of a boy in the clock face. And I was like, who the heck is that? And how is he connected to the clock tower in some way? Because this was, because I was thinking about, unconventional love stories. And I was like, well, what if it was between a human and a non-human? Like, what if this was just like the actual like physical embodiment of time itself, and he fell in love with it? Like, it's like, okay, how is he kind of human? How is he very much not human? Like, what senses does he have? What senses doesn't he have? And so I was driving to work that day, and I was like, so what would be like really unconventional? Like, what's something I haven't done before? And I was like, what if like clock towers actually literally control time? I just knew that there was going to be a clock mechanic. He was going to try, he had a lot of strife going on in his life, trying to get his father out of the stop town. And like, I felt like I understood him more as I went on. So then we have clock mechanics, like my main character, Danny, and they go out and they fix the clocks, whenever they, time, skews up. And on the way, he's assigned to this little, like, podunk clock tower out of the way, and he's like, why the hell am I here? And he meets a boy there, whom he later figures out is the clock tower's spirit who controls the time. And he accidentally finds himself falling in love with the boy, and shenanigans ensue. Danny, his father is also a clock mechanic. He got trapped in a town where the clock tower broke, like, completely. So time has completely stopped. Can't go in, can't go out, can't communicate with anyone in there. So it's Danny's like primary mission to free his father somehow. He is the quintessential Ravenclaw. Like, he's such a nerd. So Timekeeper is actually a first for me in very many ways. It was my first young adult. It was my first historical fantasy. Just a lot of stuff was just completely new to me. And so the best way that I could find a segue into that was incorporating what I knew about fantasy into history. So I was 15 when I wrote my very first book. It was like 190K. It was like this big epic fantasy full of cliches and tropes. I'm so in love with what they came up with. It turned out so gorgeous. It is very shiny. I was like, I want gold.